Welcome to Kara's Cures, where we explore the cutting edge of wellness. I'm Kara Sundlin. So do you need some help keeping your wellness goals? Maybe a health coach can help. I'm joined by Debbie Wright, who is a certified health coach, and she joins me now with more on what a coach can do for you. Welcome, Debbie.
Oh, thank you, Kara. Thanks for having me.
You know, a lot of folks might know you from watching A Great Day Connecticut with your style coaching, which we sort of understand that of what do we wear, how do we get this done, how do we find the right things. And I know recently it's been a journey for you where you went and got certified as a health coach. Tell me a little bit more about what that means. Like, what can you do for us? What do health coaches do?
Okay, no, it's a great question, and it's certainly new and emerging in our whole current modern medical environment. But a health coach, we are focused primarily on human behavior, motivation, and overall health and wellness. So I operate as your change agent to help my clients set and achieve their own desired health goals, while also supporting them in identifying the habits and the rituals that they need to have in order to achieve the goals that they want.
So I guess bottom line is we know that it takes a little effort to create a habit. And that's where if you go to the doctor and they say, you know, we really need you to eliminate inflammatory foods and we need you to meal prep. You go out of there and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. But if you don't have a way to do it, that's what gets in the way of people. They have to change their habits because everything we do is so automatic.
Exactly. And patterns are hard to break, right? When you think about change in and of itself, I think most of us can appreciate and acknowledge the fact that change is hard. And, you know, in the current environment, the way it is in the medical field, you know, our doctors can only spend, you know what, on average, I think it's 12 or 13 minutes with us when we go see them. So most often we are left then with, you know, lowering blood pressure or losing weight, like you said, or managing, you know, having less inflammatory foods. And then you come out and you just don't know where to go or how to even get started. And that's where it's really exciting because the medical community is also recognizing that health coaches are really a vital part of the success of a client's overall health and wellness. And it's an important part to have that support, to have that person that they can spend time with to help really navigate and understand. And the part is, everyone's body is different too, right? So there is no one size fits all when it comes to making healthy choices, because what might work for one person may not work for the other. And there's a whole lot that goes into it, as you and I know. It's stress level, it's sleep, it's activity. There's a whole lot that goes and lies underneath, you know, current health issues.
Now, some people might be going, you know what, I don't want to go to a health coach because they're not doctors. You're not trying to be a doctor, right? You actually work with doctors. But if the doctor, again, tells you that I'm going to need you to do A, B, and C, and you're already thinking, I don't even have time to get out the door, and I'm managing kids, and you're wondering, how am I going to make these changes? You go in and what do? Do you look at a person's life, or how do you help them?
Yes, actually, we're the support. So that's exactly the scenario, right? So somebody, you know, leaves the doctor's office, or just maybe overall they realize that they're headed down a path and they don't want to head down, that they, you know, they're starting to feel achy, they're not sleeping, they don't feel great, you know, and they want to get ahead of it. So someone might reach out to me on their own, or a doctor might recommend that I work with them, and I'm that support. So in a meeting, we would get together, whether it's via Zoom, which is most often the way that it's happening these days. And what I do is I take them through initially a visioning session. You know, what is it that they want to achieve, and why do they want to achieve it? So I think the important factor is, you know, not just like having a list of things we must do, because that sometimes becomes difficult. You know, the doctor told me I needed to lose 15 pounds, but you really need, the success there will come in when you identify the why. You know, why do you want to lose weight, or do you even, you know, what changes do you recognize in your lifestyle right now that you would want to tweak? You know, what habits do you know might not be serving you, but you don't know where to begin or how to change them? It really is human behavior and psychology that goes in and gets in underneath patterns, and identifying that why first and establishing that vision is critical for anyone to have success. You know, it's very rare that we come out with a list of must-dos that we have to do in terms of health, and we just, you know, instantly do them. We have to really understand why we want to make any change in our life.
I think that's so important, the why, right? Because the getting into smaller jeans is only going to motivate you so far when you see a piece of cake that you really want. But maybe it's that, I really want to be able to run around with my kids or my grandkids, or I need more energy, or I'm so tired of feeling tired. So the bigger whys, I can see how that would be important. Talk a little bit about what you did, because you didn't just hang a shingle and say I'm a health coach, which might be the case for some people out there. You want to make sure that people, if you're going to go down this road of getting someone to help you, that they've been educated and that their ways are really going to make a difference for you.
And that's so important to me. And thank you for bringing this up. I mean, I studied with one of the premier organizations, the Kresser Institute, which was founded by Chris Kresser, who is a functional clinician in his own right. He is world respected. He's a New York Times bestselling author, and he's well known in the functional health space and holistic care. He's been treating patients this way for years and has identified that there is such a breakdown, from doctor's office to execution. And so he founded this school and has certified health coaches all over the country. His program and the program I went through is extremely extensive, covering both nutrition and the body and physiology and science to, motivational interviewing and coaching and human behavior. So it was a 1.5-year program. And now I'm actually going for my national board certification, because I do think it is important to have even more schooling behind it, because human behavior, being an advocate as I am for wellness, and I really do wholly believe in avoiding chronic disease and helping people really be their own advocate and understanding how their body operates and functions, what is optimal for them, and getting in on the proactive side and getting away from heading to the doctor when it's too late and getting treatment and then starting there. I want people to get in way ahead of it and stay healthy for a long, long time.
Well, let's do a little for example. I know we interviewed you. If you look down, you're going to see another Care is Cures where we talked about intermittent fasting, which is something that you've studied. It's something you've implemented. I know a lot of women are thinking of that when they get into that middle age and they think, why am I tired and why can't I lose the weight? And yet they look online and there are lots of apps that say, okay, don't eat for 8 to 12 hours. Use that example of how you might actually teach people the science behind it and actually help people do it. Because I certainly know I could benefit, but I haven't done it.
Oh, well, we have to talk about your why, right? So that's a great example, because a lot of people do hear the buzzword right now. Intermittent fasting is kind of a big trend, but it is truly effective. I've experienced it myself. Many of my clients have, and specifically, I believe, with what I've experienced for women going through this kind of mid-age shift. And there's a whole lot of science behind the benefits that when you give your body a break from constantly eating, what the body then does in return. So the cells are cleaning themselves out. Your body is getting rid of damage, getting rid of things that don't serve us. But there's a whole lot more to it, right? There's also, what are you feeding your body? So it's about looking and meeting with the client to identify, why do you want to intermittent fast? Like, what are you looking for? To establish that, it's going to be realistic, that what they want, that this is the path to get there. And then really diving into what is their current, what's their current eating cycle look like, right? So what's going to be the first immediate shift to make that's going to be realistic? For most of us, if we have dinner at 6 or 7 at night, we go to bed at 10 o'clock, that's optimal. The optimal is to have 3 hours between your last meal and before you go to bed. That's really kind of a blanket optimal thing to do. That's really good for your body. And then if you sleep 8 hours, for most of us, fasting 10 to 11 hours isn't really that big of a deal if you're sleeping 7 to 8 of it. So we then work together to identify, how far can you push it and what is it like now? And then we start making small shifts, and then we start to measure the outcome.
So is that generally what you find works best as a coach? You would help people do micro steps rather than sweeping changes?
Absolutely. Success comes in the small wins. And I think for most of my clients, I think you and I can attest to this as well. When we take on something small and we feel and take in that success, then we know we can do the next thing, right? When with every mile begins with the first step, right? It isn't that you just put those running shoes on and go run for 3 miles if you haven't run before. You run from this stop sign to this stop sign. And that's a win the first day. And the next day, maybe you take it a little bit further. So it is that way as well with swapping out bad habits for good habits when it comes to health and wellness, baby steps. And then one thing just keeps building. And before you know it, the optimal goal is to build a lifestyle that's easy to live by. This is not about diet. This is not about being restrictive. I like the opposite. I like the word abundant. I like the words enjoy and thrive. So it's about creating that life where all those words get you excited. Food gets you excited. Taking a break from food gets you excited. Life should be exciting. And the things that happen to our bodies as a result of good choices are really fun for me. And I want that for everybody.
Yeah. Now, when you're dealing, let's say you're coaching a woman, is it better if you also are coaching the husband? Because is it hard for people to make a change if the rest of the people they're living with are not?
Really excellent point. And yes, I will say that it does become a challenge, right? When you're trying not to eat after 6 o'clock and your husband, this is a real scenario, is snacking at 8:30 in bed next to one of my clients. But now what ends up happening that I have found in all scenarios is that, interestingly enough, it starts to have a domino effect. So once, in this example, let's just take mom or the woman, starts taking the lead on her health, and the others, the children and the husband, start witnessing the change, increased energy, up earlier, happier, sleeping better. Somehow, things start to carry over, and then they start to get questions. Well, wait, what? Well, all right. Well, maybe I'll skip breakfast tomorrow with you.
Yeah. Right. No, it's true. Back to that, be the change you want to see, right? So if you're
totally
doing really well, people are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
In general, is it a defined period of time? Like, how many sessions would you book with a health coach, and is it affordable?
It is affordable. And I work with clients now on an individual basis because I want to be affordable to I'm here to serve. That's how I look at it. And initially, my first sessions are usually an hour long via Zoom. Most of my clients are all via Zoom still. And the first hour is that visioning session. I think that's really important to establish, what is their vision of true optimal health. And once we establish and recognize, what are the possibilities, I really try to pull them out of even what they think is possible and go into even another land of really having it all. What does that look like to them? And then after that, usually the sessions are 50 minutes. And each week we establish a focus. It's very much driven by the client. I have been taught and schooled on really how to bring out their own motivation, right? And then we establish the focus of that session, and we come up with a plan for that week, and then we meet once a week. And it can be as long and as often as the client wants. It's really up to the client.
Yeah, I mean, just to see some changes, is it generally a couple months to start out, or to get people going? I'm just trying to figure out so people can feel motivated of that micro step.
Right. Usually the first month for sure, because they're committed. If they've reached out and we've had the visioning session, they're committed. They're really ready to make some change. They're happy to have a support around it. So typically within the first 4 weeks, there's some pretty significant changes that people see, because there are habits that they start changing, 1 or 2, and then they start to see the momentum build. So I would say, I can safely say it's usually within the first month that there are substantial changes in habits.
Now, you've identified people's why. Do you also do the how? Mm-hmm. Okay, I know when you do someone's closet, you come in and you show them how it needs to be organized. We're going to put shoes here. We're going to put shirts here. Do you do that with health coaching as well? All right, I'm going to tell you that on Sundays, I want you to meal prep from 4 to 6. And do people walk away with concrete plans and accountability?
They do. And it's all driven by what they see. So a session might look like, if the goal this week is to eat within the window of 11 and 7, that 8-hour window with, enjoying that intermittent fasting. The client wants to try that to evaluate what the results will be. So, okay, and I want to make sure I'm making healthy choices for my meals. Okay, then how are we going to do that? So then I just lead the client through. So what does that look like? And then we visualize the week. And does that include meal planning? What does that mean for meal sharing? Or how many meals are you eating on your own? Are you eating with your family? So we just walk through what the whole plan looks like. But the client actually establishes what they believe is realistic in their world to make the shifts necessary for the goals that week or the goal that week. So it's really very much driven by what's realistic. And if they, even sometimes during those conversations, they'll say, well, I don't even know how this is possible because, I have no time. Okay, so then what's next? If this is important to you. So it's the behavior behind the why that's the tweak, right?
Yeah.
It isn't just the default to the pattern. It's then tapping into the behavior that's necessary to meet the focus and the goal of the week.
Well, and so many times we try to go all out and then it's not sustainable. So I assume having that accountability, like do you text people and say what's going on? I mean, or is it just you meet with someone once a week? Or I would think that most people might do a little bit better if you're getting a text like, oh, did you manage to make those vegetables today? Oh, nope, I better do that because I got to write her back that I said yes.
Yeah, and I have clients that do both. I have the clients that I meet with once a week, and they just look forward to touching base with me on that set day. I have others who I do text and check in because they ask for that. And that's a service and something that, keeps them going. So, but normally my goal is to create this community to online. So knowing that in general, we're all after, this optimal health lifestyle. So I'll even try to engage on it just overall in the communities that I have on Facebook and social media, so people can hopefully tap there too.
Yep.
And connect with something that they need to hear that day that'll help keep them on track.
And I noticed you were posting on Instagram. People can follow you there. You often post a lot of healthy inspiration, also information, and you have something going on where you're actually you have some openings for new clients. And tell us about how people could get involved.
Yes, please shoot me an email. I'm happy to work you in. What we've been doing now, myself and two other peers from the Kresser Institute, we just held one this week, but it's an informational Zoom session that we invite you to. And if you want to be involved, and our next one is a couple of weeks from now on a Monday. And I forgot the actual date. It's in a couple of weeks though, but we invite people if you want to just join Zoom just to learn more about health coaching and just to have a discussion around, how it can serve you, how having a health coach can serve you, any questions. So we're offering an informative Q&A, and we are offering a couple of complimentary sessions, each of us as coaches, to anyone who attends those sessions, because we really just want to spread the word. And I appreciate you so much, Kara, because we want to spread the word that, health coaches are a real thing, and we really are change agents who want people to really understand the amount of control you really do have over your own biology and your own health and wellness. And it's connecting all the pieces. It isn't just what foods do I eat. It's moving more. It's having happier relationships. It's being fulfilled. It's having connection. So we just want to bring people together who have an interest and believe that, they can have this optimal health for the rest of their lives.
So I'll let everyone know it's Debbie at DebbieAllenWright.com. I'm looking on your Instagram page right now, so you can find out more if you want to do this. I mean, I think all of us know if we really want change, it's so defeating when we say we're going to do something, and we all do this sometimes with New Year's resolutions, and then it doesn't happen. So I guess if you're really ready to hold yourself accountable and you need a partner in that, a health coach could be a great resource.
Absolutely. And we are there. We are there to help you realize things that you might not even realize about yourself. Desires, wants, needs. Sometimes with our work environments and our home environments, people are used to seeing us a certain way. So the temperature is set, at a certain thermostat. But you know what? Now working with someone else who sees something different in us or helps to ask different questions can, often just take us to a new place, which is exciting.
Absolutely. So you can go to your website, DebbieAllenWright.com. I know you can schedule a consultation right there. And again, this is going to be a free Zoom coming up where people can just learn a little bit more and see if it's the right fit for them.
Yes, perfect. Absolutely. We'd love it.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Carol. We'll see you soon.
And if you're interested in more information on the cutting edge of wellness, you can find more Kara's Cures right here on the Channel 3 app. Just scroll around. We've got lots of episodes. I also post them on my social media. You can follow me at Kara Sundlin.